Okay. Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. Yeah, let's directly start.
It's good.
Yeah, I was working on the Rook Orchestrator last week, and turns out that the Kubernetes client Python library is kind of outdated on CentOS 7. The CentOS 7 ships a urllib3 version, which does not meet the minimum requirements for the Kubernetes client version. So it's broken in a way that the watcher does not work that Paul Kasner created a few weeks ago. So my take on it was to just make a workaround, don't do any improvements on CentOS 7, and hope for the best as soon as CentOS 8 is released, that things are getting backported into CentOS 7. If you have any other ideas, then I would like to hear them. But with that outdated dependency of urllib3, I'm a bit out of options right now. Okay.
I'm not sure of the solution, but just to make sure I'm clear, so we're saying on CentOS 7, the Kubernetes client we're using is just really outdated and and the watcher doesn't work on it.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah. So Kubernetes client has a minimum required version of, I think, 1.11 of the urllib3 package, and CentOS 7 ships 1.10, something like that. And in 1.11, a feature was added that is used by the Kubernetes client to support watching of Python manifests, basically. Python, Kubernetes resources, I'm sorry. So it's going to be slower for CentOS 7.
Why not like package up the Python library like the same way that like Go does its like vendor dependencies? Like just include it in the like in the Ceph Python libraries.
Yeah, Python packages are typically shipped with distribution packages, and we should continue doing that. It's just the way Python works. Python dependencies are shipped.
Would it make sense to like build a Python package with this library that could be like installed on CentOS 7 so those users like don't have to build it themselves or like get a special place for the RPM, that it'll be at least present in the Ceph RPM or like the Ceph RPM downloads?
So my hope is that things are getting backported by the CentOS team and not by us. That's my hope. And yeah, my hope is also to just switch to Python 3 as soon as possible, as soon as things are backported. But if anyone volunteers to do that, I would be happy. Anyway, so one thing that popped up last week was some kind of way to clear up the orchestrator queue. Like if you have scheduled a bunch of operations, then we have a queue in memory, and if one of them is hanging because of any reasons, then there is no way to clear the orchestrator manager modules, except for restarting the manager, which is a bit ugly. So my idea was to add some kind of Ceph orchestrator clear to clean up the queue. That's not really related to Rook, I have to be honest.
That's to clear up the queue of things in progress or caches.
If you're doing Ceph orchestrator OSD create, and then you're pressing Control D to cancel, yeah, then there is no way to clear up that process event or that orchestrator event to be removed from the internal queue of things that are ongoing. There was just no way except for restarting the manager.
And internally, I mean, say you have a task where you just configured some OSDs. Your goal is not necessarily to cancel deploying those OSDs, right? You just want to stop waiting for it. So, like the Rook operator will keep working on that in the background, but we just don't want the manager to keep waiting.
Yeah. If because of any reason the orchestrator completion gets stuck because Rook cannot create that OSD, for example.
Oh, it could wait indefinitely, even though the operator's done.
There is no timeout. Yeah. I think that's something that we have to do. Yeah, Travis, you want to continue with the?
Oh, sure. Well, the next line is actually your PR around caching for the Rook module.
Okay.
I was just curious on the latest on it. And can you remind me of the caching that you implemented? Do you have an idea of how slow the dashboard was, or?
So we were doing a full fetch for every click in the dashboard.
Getting everything from the Rook module every time.
Getting all config maps, getting all pods, getting all nodes. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, every time you're clicking on the dashboard, we're doing a full fetch.
Well, there are many requests, so obviously it was going to. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And everything was synchronous.
Block the dashboard while you're waiting.
Yeah.
Was that on the order of like a second or two, or do you have an idea? Or not responsive enough, obviously. I'm just curious.
Yeah, I have to ask Kiefer for the exact times, but he really complained about that feeling of the dashboard being very slow.
That's fine. That's all I had.
But yeah,
on
as long as CentOS 7 is not properly shipping a version of URL through which is supported by the Kubernetes client version, it's still going to be slow for the master of Rook.
Yep. Okay. Well, the next item I've got there, so I've got this general question about enabling of manager modules in Rook. Today, Rook basically has a list of modules that it goes through and enables one by one. And there's not a way really to tell Rook what modules should be enabled. And there was this question about the PG autoscaler that I linked there with issue 560, where I think there's kind of a question, well, should Rook automatically enable the autoscaler or should it not? And it made me think that at least for some modules, maybe it would make sense to have a CR setting that indicates whether or not you want to enable certain modules. But actually, today we already have a setting for the dashboard module. Do you want to enable it? And for other modules, we should probably just have a generalized approach that says, here's the name of the module, enable it true or false, and then Rook can behave accordingly. Because I don't think we want, or maybe first of all, do people think we should enable PG autoscaler automatically? Hoping Sage could help answer that question. Anybody else have an opinion on whether that makes sense? Because it is pretty new still in Nautilus.
For Octopus, I would definitely enable it. I think you cannot even disable it for Octopus.
Oh, really? Okay.
For Nautilus, I don't know.
Because it is an option. I mean, it's optional. You can enable it or disable it in Nautilus, right? So anyway.
Might be a bit dangerous for Nautilus because it's a new module and everyone is just waiting for Octopus until it's stable. Okay. I don't know if is Red Hat enabling that by default for the next downstream product? I don't know.
I'm not sure yet. Yeah, I think we still need to have that discussion. It's not enabled yet by Rook automatically, or upstream or downstream. So yeah, we'll something to think about. But today it's not enabled by default. But I think a general setting for whether to enable modules should be exposed at least by Rook.
The dashboard will also support enabling and disabling manager modules.
Okay. And great. So it'd be an optional thing in the Rook CR. If you want it to be done at the Rook level, it could, or use the dashboard, and they could be independent.
If the dashboard enables a module and it's not, and the dashboard is not Rook telling that it was enabled, is Rook then disabling that manager module again?
So Rook would, I think we should make it so Rook would not enforce it if it's missing from the CR. If it's in the CR as saying enable true or false, then Rook would enforce it. But by default, we would not enforce a module that's not in the list. That's how we could avoid the conflict with the dashboard.
The other way would be to tell Rook to enable or disable a manager module from within the dashboard instead of doing it directly inside of the manager. But that would be a detour. I don't know. Let's think about that.
Right. Enabling the module is simple enough that we probably wouldn't need to go through the operator to do it. And, well, there's probably not a need from the dashboard's perspective to ask the Rook module to enable something, or the orchestrated module. It should just be able to enable the modules directly to talk to an orchestrator module.
Hmm.
So, okay. I was just thinking about this morning, so it's early thinking. Good for now. The next item I have there is the CR validations. We have a couple of PRs open right now. So Sebastian, that first one's yours. So I think I just saw you updated it, so I'll give it a final review today. And then the other one is about adding validations for the other CRs like pools and file systems and objects. Yours was just on the Ceph cluster CR, right?
Yeah. And the other ones are on pools and
right.
No, it's going to get it will conflict with each other.
Okay, I haven't looked this morning at them, and I know they've both been updated. So if
they will conflict.
Anyway, so I think we'll take yours for. Well, you just touched the Ceph cluster CR in yours, right?
No, I also added them for the other CRDs.
Okay, I guess we'll reconcile those then.
It might make sense to merge them actually. I think he added things that I did, like minimum and maximum, and I added things that he did not.
Right.
So it might make sense to actually merge them, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to take a look there and suggest something there, well, I'll comment on it too. This might take me a couple hours to get there. And okay, I think that's all I had on my mind. I mean, there's lots of other stuff going on in Rook. I'm not sure it's related to orchestration. Except, well, there's the OSD creation based on PVs. That's fully underway. A prototype is working with the OSDs on PVs. Alfredo, I see you on the call. So it looks like we're good there from Ceph volume perspective.
Great.
Yep. Configuring LV from the pods and then being able to call Ceph volume with that enabled first.
I remember that the Rook folks had a problem with Ceph volume on PVs.
Yeah, so that's been resolved now. We weren't able to use batch mode for Ceph volume. But we were able to create individual OSDs with the Ceph, the LVM create command. So batch mode looked for a size property which was not available in the PV. And so if we need to do batch mode OSD creation, or I think we'll run into the same issue when we want to put the metadata on another disk, the wall and the DB. At least for individual OSDs.
Okay, if it's resolved, then I think we're fine then.
Okay. Anything else for Rook anybody wants to bring up?
Doesn't look like so. Sage isn't here, so let's postpone the SSH orchestrator to next week.
Yeah, I think Sage was going to Bangalore for Ceph Day there. Maybe he's traveling now. I'm not sure. Because it's this coming weekend.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Is that all then?
Looks like so.
Great.
Then
thanks everyone.
Enjoy. Bye.
Day. Yep. Sebastian. See ya.